What is good, YouTube, and welcome back to MKE Maniaci, and today we got 10 greatest Bray Wyatt moments. It's been a couple of days since we lost Bray, and honestly, like, my mind's still trying to process this, you know, how sudden this situation was and how tragic it is, man. Not just for us fans, but more importantly for Bray Wyatt's family, for JoJo, for his kids. You know, Bray Wyatt was, honestly, I have to say this, one of the most creative minds that WWE has ever had. One of the most, like, just creative people, man. Like, you know, I feel like Bray had so much more to do, but he's done a lot in the WWE. And, you know, I don't want to talk too much because I want to react to this, but yeah, I'm still, honestly, still in shock, man. SmackDown last night was a beautiful episode for Bray. But yeah, long live Bray Wyatt, man. We got a lot of memories and a lot of moments to look back on, so we're gonna check out 10 of them, man. Let's get it.
As the world mourns the tragic passing of WWE star Bray Wyatt at the age of just 36, it is important to remember and look back fondly on his many amazing contributions to the wrestling business. A fiercely creative and utterly fearless performer, Wyndham Rotunda has left a legacy that is littered with incredible and unforgettable moments. Whilst we are saddened to know that we will never get to witness another, we are glad that he left behind so many for us to enjoy again and again. Please join us in celebrating the life and career of the incomparable Bray Wyatt. We'll miss you, Bray. Number 10, Bray Wyatt returns. Let's start with Bray's 2022 return, which was the culmination of much hype, speculation, and an inventive interactive campaign. With Triple H taking over the creative reins from Vince McMahon, we immediately started to see some of the game's old favourites return to the fold, whether they were rehired or simply given renewed pushes. Encouraged to follow the mystery of the White Rabbit, viewers eagerly tuned in to the Extreme Rules pay-per-view, where it was hinted that Wyatt would re-emerge. With the show ostensibly going off the air, the lights went out and the weirdness began in earnest. With a recording of Bray singing "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands" playing over the arena's sound system, one by one, lifelike versions of the unsettling characters from the Firefly Funhouse were spotted at various places in the crowd. Then, after a little more hoopla, Wyatt appeared from the remnants of the Firefly Funhouse set, taking off a brand new mask and blowing out a lantern as the fans went bonkers. Only a character like Bray Wyatt could get away with this sort of extravagant production, but
It's like,
it fit him to a T and got his sadly all too short final runoff to a memorable start.
That moment, Extreme Rules 2022, man, like, that was just crazy. It's like, we knew, us as fans, we knew it was leading to Bray's return, but when it actually happened, man, oh my God. Like, I wish I could have had my girl record me of how crazy I went when it was Bray coming out, man. Like, and then the theme song, like, everything, it was just money, man. You know, and it's just sad to think that, you know, this was, what, 10 months ago? 10 months ago. This was less than a year ago, you know, like, and
got his sadly all too short final runoff to a memorable start. Number 9, beating Cena at Extreme Rules. Bray's first major test as a singles wrestler on the main roster was John Cena.
Facts.
Though Wyatt, as well as Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, had built up considerable momentum in their relatively short time on main, a program with the face that runs the place was an altogether different beast. Some were critical of Super Cena's WrestleMania 30 victory over the Backwoods Dweller, but defeat at the Showcase of the Immortals wasn't the end of the line for the Eater of Worlds, because he got another crack at Big Match John at Extreme Rules. Locked inside a steel cage, Wyatt and Cena were having themselves a hell of a fight, with Cena continually fending off interference of the rest of the Wyatt family members. It wasn't Harper or Rowan that he needed to worry about, however. A small child, who would be ordinarily kitted out in one of Cena's Neon Nightmare t-shirts, showed up and prevented him from exiting the cage door by freaking him out with a demonic rendition of "He's Got the Whole World in His Hands." The distraction was enough to allow Bray to hit Sister Abigail and secure a key victory.
I remember in 2014, you know, when the whole rumors were coming up, this was before, I think this was even before the Elimination Chamber that year. I was in college that year. And I remember, you know, it was the whole rumors. I followed the wrestling rumor sites, and they were like, WrestleMania 30, they're planning on John Cena versus Bray. And I'm going to be real with y'all. I was like, you know, I like the Bray Wyatt character. I'm like, I really like Bray, but John Cena at WrestleMania? But man, when I tell you, and I rewatched the promo and I rewatched the match, and it's like, man, the build up to WrestleMania 30, it actually turned me from a skeptic to a believer, man. Like, I was actually like, okay, Bray can hang with John Cena as far as promos go, as far as the mind games, as far as just the in-ring work. Bray was there. You know, WrestleMania 30 was a time where, you know, and I'm not going to say I didn't like the Bray Wyatt character, because I liked the Bray Wyatt character. I just thought that was just too much for him too soon. But what I didn't know is how far ahead and how Bray was just ahead of his time, you know. And I was all for, I wanted Cena versus Undertaker at WrestleMania that year. So bad. But looking back on this, man, like, that match was, the build-up was incredible. You know, the rivalry that they had, even when they renewed it in 2020, you know, in the Fly Funhouse match, man, like, Cena and Wyatt, they had great chemistry together, man.
Number 8, the Firefly Funhouse Match.
Like I
6
said,
years after they first clashed, Bray and Cena reignited their rivalry on the road to WrestleMania 36.
I watched this match last night after SmackDown, man.
By this point, Wyatt had transformed into the Fiend, and John was no longer WWE's marathon man, but on a part-time schedule and used only for special events. When COVID hit, WWE were forced to innovate and came up with a Firefly Funhouse match for Cena vs Wyatt on the oddest, grandest stage of them all. More in keeping with performance art than traditional professional wrestling, the Funhouse was unlike anything WWE had done before.
Nice.
A time-hopping head trip with nary a wrestling move in sight, the match saw Bray taunt Cena, who morphed into prior versions of himself. They even did an homage to their previous feud and imagined John Cena becoming a member of the New World Order.
Yeah.
It was wild and wacky, and while it wasn't for everyone, it was certainly different and lingered long in the memory.
I loved this match. You know, like, even though WrestleMania that year was very different. It was a very strange WrestleMania, but it was moments like this match where I was just like, okay, this felt special. This was just different. It was loopy, and you could tell it was all from the mind of Bray Wyatt. And I know Cena had a blast. I know he had a blast doing this with Bray, because Cena is the guy, you know, he likes this type of stuff too. You know, y'all remember 5 Questions with the Champ? How, you know, like, Cena likes stuff like this, man. And Bray, man, he brought it out. He brought it out, man. Like, everything was cool, man. Like, the video packages, you know, when he came out as the prototype John Cena to Word Life Cena to, you know, the Vince, they're like, come on, it was money, man.
There were a lot of so-called cinematic matches during the pandemic era, but Cena and Bray's mind-bending jaunt through the Performance Center takes some topping. Number 7, winning the tag titles with Orton.
Yeah.
Though Bray debuted on WWE's main roster in the summer of 2013, it took him over 3 years to win his first piece of WWE Gold. And it wouldn't be with Rowan or Harper either, but temporary honorary Wyatt family member Randy Orton. The new face of Fear and the Viper joined forces in late 2016 and took on inaugural SmackDown Tag Team Champions Heath Slater and Rhino at TLC. Kicking off the show, the match itself was really nothing to write home about, lasting a shade under 6 minutes as it did. But as a moment, it was a big one, and an important one for the career of Wyatt, who provided the distraction that allowed Orton to nail an RKO and bag the belts. The Orton-Bray saga would go completely off the rails in the months that followed, but it was compelling stuff initially, with this being one of the highlights.
Yeah.
Number 6, Firefly Inferno. The pandemic was still in full swing when Bray's alter ego clashed with Randy Orton at TLC 2020 in what was basically an Inferno match, i.e. the first person to set their opponent on fire wins. WWE attempted many wacky things during their extended residency in empty arenas, but none were as genuinely mad as what they did here. As an actual match, it's not exactly giving Flair vs Steamboat any sleepless nights, but it was a visually stunning spectacle and features one of the most unforgettable WWE pay-per-view endings ever. Orton won the match by backing the Fiend into the flames, only for Wyatt to continue his pursuit before eating an RKO. The Viper then contemplated his next move before pouring gasoline on his stricken foe and lighting a match. Just completely mental on every level.
And you know, the cool thing about the pandemic side of things, you know, how they did things was, you know, yeah, you had the fans on the screen, but they couldn't see what was going on in the ring. Of course, Wyatt wasn't really set on fire laying down, like, you know, but I like the way they did that, though. You know, you could manipulate the camera angles.
Enjoyable whether you were genuinely aghast or bursting at the seams from suppressed laughter.
Yeah.
Number 5, besting Bryan at the Rumble. The first time that Bray Wyatt really got to shine was during his feud with Daniel Bryan in late 2013/early 2014.
Facts.
Bray had seemingly recruited the American Dragon into the Wyatt family fold, only for the bearded wonder to famously rip off his boiler suit and break free from their clutches. Well, the Eater of Worlds wasn't going to let that one sit, and the big grudge match was booked for the 2014 Royal Rumble. Opening the show in style, the two men had an exceptional back-and-forth contest that would remain one of Wyatt's best. Bryan was riding a serious wave of fan support at the time, and the Bray Wyatt character was still very new, giving the match a lot of crowd heat and a fresh feel. As for the result, it really could have gone either way, and that would have been just fine, but Bray got the nod and put the bearded wonder away after a Sister Abigail into the ringside barricade, followed by another in the ring.
It was a great booking for Bray. I say, looking back at his first year, you know, he started off with Kane. You know, he did the thing with Bryan, and I think they had a brief thing with CM Punk, and you know, leading to WrestleMania against Cena, they did pretty good. You know, Bray, like, it's very few wrestlers that came in at, how old was he, like 25, 26 at this time, 26 years old, coming in and just being able to handle your first year on the main roster, man. Like, come on, man. You got to give this guy's credit.
Stealing the show in the opener and getting a major singles W. Not a bad night for the man of 1,000 truths, all things considered. Number 4, the Fiends debut.
Yeah.
While his tag team with Broken Matt Hardy, the Deleters of Worlds, was a fine mid-card distraction, it was clear that Bray could do with a direction change sooner rather than later. Once the team had run its course, Wyatt took a little vacation while new vignettes began offering a peek into Bray's Firefly Funhouse. Initially appearing as a Mr. Rogers type host, the vignettes took a very dark turn as the Fiend was introduced to the world. After playing for weeks and weeks, fans became invested in seeing how it would all shake out in the ring as Wyatt targeted Finn Balor and was booked against the first ever Universal Champion at SummerSlam 2019. The Fiend's proper in-ring debut would have to be handled perfectly after such a long and careful build, and thankfully WWE, as well as Bray and Balor, got it spot on.
Facts.
The entrance was hair-raising and the Fiend's appearance was genuinely disconcerting, like a horror movie villain come to life. He made quick work of his very generous opponent too, setting the right tone from the off.
The Fiend was honestly my personal favorite Bray Wyatt character, man. Like, I love the Fiend. I love the Funhouse. I loved every aspect of twisted, demented, psychological thriller. Like, I love this, man. Like, you know, and it was a few weeks ago when I went to SummerSlam, you know, and my cousin, my girl, will attest to this. You know, I was saying, like, man, I want Bray Wyatt to return. I want him to attack Cody Rhodes. He could start Cody and Bray. I was like, he gotta return as the Fiend. I need him to return as the Fiend, you know. But the Fiend was a genius character, man. You know, this was Wyatt pretty much like responding to the critics. You know, everybody was saying, you know, WWE fumbled Bray Wyatt, they buried Bray Wyatt left and right, and now you got this Fiend who's kind of come back for everything that was, you know, wrong for him in the past, and it was like, this was the most creative, with the most creative mask of all time, man. Like, come on. Like, Bray, this shows Bray Wyatt could have been in Hollywood. He could have wrote movies, man. Like, come on, man.
Number 3, Supremacy over the Shield. The Wyatt
Wyatt
family were
and the
lucky
Shield.
enough to arrive in WWE at the same time that another awesome faction, the Shield, were establishing their dominance. Hitting that sweet spot right as the Wyatts were starting to really get over, and not too terribly long before the Hounds of Justice imploded, WWE booked the big showdown between the two warring stables at 2014's Elimination Chamber pay-per-view. Watching it all unfold, you could immediately see that this was something truly special. The crowd were electric from before the opening bell rang and maintained their enthusiasm for the duration of the near 25-minute barn burner. In any event, the six-man was a real chaotic scrap that featured a little bit of everything for everyone and allowed all the participants to shine, especially Bray though, who scored the decisive pin on Roman Reigns. Amazingly, WWE booked the match to end pretty much the same way in the main event of Raw a few months later, with Bray again pinning the big dog to establish his trio's supremacy.
And it's just, I know they're probably going to touch on it, but the chemistry even between not just the Shield and the Wyatt family, but between Bray and Roman, like, come on, you got to talk about that.
Number 2, Bray's Elimination Chamber WWE Title Win.
This should have been number 1 right here, man. Like, I was so happy for Bray when he won that. Was that 2017? Even though he was only champion for a month, man, I was so happy for Bray, man.
The Elimination Chamber event had to hold a special place in Bray Wyatt's heart. 3 years after he, Harper, and Rowan beat Rollins, Reigns, and Ambrose in an instant classic, the Eater of Worlds received a shot at the WWE title in the show's eponymous match. John Cena was defending against Wyatt, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, The Miz, and Baron Corbin inside the unforgiving steel structure, with Bray entering the fray as the 4th entrant. This was his first crack at the WWE title, believe it or not, his only previous shots at any sort of world title coming in the 2014 Money in the Bank ladder match and in the 2016 Royal Rumble. This Elimination Chamber match was a scorcher and really saved what had been a humdrum pay-per-view, with the 6 men going all out for close to 40 awesome minutes. After the champ was surprisingly eliminated, it came down to Wyatt and Styles, with the phenomenal one eventually succumbing to Sister Abigail and Bray securing his first major piece of singles gold. His reign didn't last long, ending at the hands of Randy Orton at WrestleMania 33 just 6 weeks later, but the moment he won the title was still one of his best.
It was special,
Number 1,
and that's something that no one could ever take away from Bray, man. He was WWE champion.
Wyatt family debuts. The first time we saw Wyndham
Husky Harris
Rotunda on WWE television, he was a million miles removed from the iconic character he would morph into. It took a couple of years in NXT for him to transform from Husky Harris, game show hopeful and member of the new Nexus. While in developmental, Rotunda crafted the Bray Wyatt persona, with he and his family quickly becoming a leading act for the black and gold brand. Like many others before and after them, their fortunes could have easily changed with their call-up, but mercifully, WWE got it right from the get-go. After the vignette treatment helped tease their impending arrival, the Wyatt family surfaced on the July 8, 2013 episode of Raw. Bray cut one of his customarily creepy promos from a rocking chair, which was played on the big screen before he, Harper, and Rowan came out and attacked Kane. Bray himself didn't do anything physical to the Big Red Machine, letting his larger enforcers do the damage while he observed approvingly. Nonetheless, it was a powerful first main roster appearance for a character who, in the decade that followed, experienced a lot of creative ups and downs, yet always retained his special aura. There will never be another. Rest in peace, Wyndham.
R.I.P. Bray, man. You know, it's just hard, you know, just realizing, like, we're never going to see this again. We're never going to see the Fiend again. We're never going to see the Bray Wyatt character. We're never going to see any of this, you know. But we do have a lot to look back on. The last 10 plus years, we could look back on this, man. Like, he's the vignettes to the, you know, the Fiend, to Bray, to his return, to, you know, how he really felt when he addressed the WWE Universe after his return last year, man. Like, Bray was a one-of-a-kind character, and there will never be another Bray Wyatt, man. So, you know, I appreciate all the dedication from him, the memories, just the wackiness, everything. Like, Bray was money. He was money, man. So, You know, definitely sending prayers out to JoJo, his kids, to Bo, to Rowan Strowman, his family, Mike Rotunda, his sister Mika, everybody, man. Like, I don't even want to imagine what they're going through right now, man. And you know, man, like, you didn't even have to meet Bray Wyatt to know that he was a good person, man. Like, that's the thing, man. So, link down below in the description for y'all to check this out in its entirety with no interruptions. Y'all new to the channel, y'all rock with me. Hit that subscribe button for me. And until the next video, I'll see y'all then. Thank you for watching MKE Maniaci. I'm out.